Hey Debbie, I really like this. Where you're going with this, I like the perspective. I really like. Let me draw on this so you can see where I'm talking about. I really like this darkness and gradation here. I like these shapes here and the lightness, and then you gray it out a little bit all up here. I think you did a great job in communicating that perspective. And I'm liking these Monet-like colors that you have going. So couple of things here. Let me clear this. All right, so if I look at these flowers now, you're saying that you want to add some of these flowers. One thing that I would take note of, if you look at your leaves compared to these leaves, you see this little detail, these veins here, and also these leaves are coming up a little more out of the water. And I would imagine, I don't know the structure of these, but they may have an additional leaves underneath them, kind of laying on the water as they come up from the bottom of the water, the ground, the lake, from the silt, whatever. So you may want to communicate this rise in the leaves, but one thing I really like are these different variety of these buds and flowers that you have going. And I love how all of these are, everything's kind of going this way, except for these, the ones that are still closed, they're going straight up, but the ones that are starting to open are facing the light source, which is really cool. And then you have this one, which is totally different, and it's larger, and that would be kind of like your focal point of this photograph. So we're going to use that information for your painting. Okay, so let me clear this. I'm using 3 fingers, swiping back and forth. So let's close that out. All right, so let's go back to your painting here and see what we can do. So the values that you have here are very close related. I see that you've added some highlights here, but instead of white, which it looks like you're using, I would probably go with more of put a little more yellow into your greens that you're using. This looks like ultramarine blue here, and maybe this is phthalo green that you have. I see you mixed in some of the blue here on those paintings. I love your brushwork in the water here, by the way. I see you're being very deliberate with your brush strokes, but in your lily pads, you're starting to get a little haphazard. So I would be careful with that. Maybe you're just in that process and you're just starting to add that structure. So I would make sure that I was being a little more deliberate with my brush strokes here, just like you did in the water. Just use a smaller brush. Say if you're using, let's say this canvas is 24 by 24 or something like that, and you used a 1.5 or 2-inch brush to make these marks. When you come down in your lily pads in here, I would use maybe like an inch and a half, and I would create those marks a little more deliberately for those highlights. And just really pay attention to that light source, and you want to create that rhythm that you have. You have a really nice rhythm going right now. Boom, like that, okay? So, and then when you get down here, you can have a really tighter edge compared to as you move up, you want to be a little looser. There's a couple different ways you can maintain looseness. So even if you do get a hard edge, you just pick up, you can either dry brush it back away, or you can pick in this blue and just kind of do that, just kind of rough over it real quick. And that'll loosen up that edge so that it'll keep the focus. I would say watch the perspective on this one down here a little bit. It's a little too round. So it's creating a little bit of a perspective issue for you, not necessarily a tangent, but make sure you want to come in, either carry this pad out like this to the edge of the painting or bring the water in. I think I would rather you carry the lily pad out, okay, and just round it off a little more. That way the person viewing your painting, they have a point to enter right here, and they're not being led off the painting with their eye. So if you have the lily pad coming in, the people will typically, you want to allow them to come in different ways. I like this side over here. I like that you have it here. I love this right here. I like where you're coming in and out multiple places. So, maybe I would diminish these up here just a little bit. I wouldn't get rid of them, but I wouldn't make them as strong. I would definitely soften that one. Make sure you're not too close to the edge here on those. You want to allow this part of the canvas to breathe. I love this S composition you got going. These here will be your stronger, harder lines right here. So I would treat these as well. I would use more deliberate strokes, and maybe even you can flip your brush around and add some of these veins in. And you want to add those details in these foreground lilies only. Don't worry about, I love how these back here are just splashes of color. So I think that works really good. That'll keep them pushed back. So only detail up front. So when you go to add these blossoms, let's think about that. So, that let's say you have a couple of opportunities here. You are in control of your composition here. So I can make a suggestion, but ultimately it's going to be you, right? So for those flowers, we're going to use a stronger green. We can take a look at them here again if you want. You see how, these are like really pale yellow. So take note of these colors here. See how bright they are, comparing their green is compared to the rest of the leaf. So let's keep that in mind. And see how this one here is just right up front. So if we want to take advantage of that and make this be our detail, clear this out. And then I wonder if we do this. Let's see what it looks like. I'm going to grab it here. I'm using Procreate, by the way, for these edits on an Apple iPad. And then I want to copy and paste. Okay, so let's hide that. So now I got this flower. So let's take a look at it. I want to grab it. So if I put it up front, let's move it up front. Thank you. All right. So now if I move this up front, I can make it really big like this. Maybe put it in this lower third right here. And then I can stack the other ones just like you've created this rhythm and this grouping of these. I'll show it to you. So you have these wonderful S pattern you got going here, and you have a grouping here, a grouping here. You have this grouping. So that is really nice, okay? The viewer is going to jump and follow these groupings, and it's their mind is going to be very happy and rewarded with what you've done. So when you're adding these buds and flowers, I don't want you to interfere with that travel, that path, and that happiness, right? So, boom. Let's grab a color like this. So, make sure. All right. So, if I would want to point, we could add this, and then like this. So, this maybe have a couple here that are straight up, I don't want to interfere with that. I like having this overlap a little bit, right? And then boom, boom. All right. Really just kind of suggesting them here. I'm not really. So this one is open. Maybe here we have another one that's open. just a little bit. Maybe some of the whites, picking the cream, not white. Okay, don't use white. Please don't use any white on this painting. This is not white here. So you're going to mix in some yellow, maybe some ochre with your white, and get rid of that white altogether. You may want to put just a touch of blue, in it here. You might have the hint of the sky coming in. Photos kind of really saturate photos, so you can't really trust them. You might want to put reflective colors there underneath like that. Sorry, boom, cover up some of this like that. So then I would do that. That's probably, you could probably get away with that. And then speaking about the leaves, you remember how I said they're coming off the water? So you may want to create some height here. And what you're going to do is you want shadow contrast. So let's always just assume, I'm assuming your light source is this way, right? And that's why I have all the buds kind of pointing that way. So I'm going to put darkness over here, put a little darkness on the inside of this, a little around it, a little bit like that. Then maybe we can even have, it'll be fine. Have it come up like this. So we're going to create some layers and overlap like that. And I don't want you to overthink it. Just get happy with your brush and just be happy and energetic with your paintbrush marks. But just don't get to where you're being willy-nilly about it. Don't get bored of what you're doing. Get caught up in, when you're applying those brush marks, you're wanting to go, go a big one, do a medium one, and a small one. Now I'm going to do a medium one and a small one and then a big one, right? And then I'm, here in the water, you were very good about being deliberate about some vertical strokes, some horizontal strokes. So you're getting variety. You don't want to do this, So you're losing form and clarity when you start doing that. And that's why these lily pads here look a little uncomfortable. There. So I hope that answers your question. And, you may want to create little highlights here on that. Mix you up a couple of different greens. You can put a little reflective green in the water like that. Let's see here, like that. Maybe even hint at the root stems coming underneath here. Not too strong, like that. I'm just glazing back over it, So then you get, see that white in there? You got to see all these little white areas. Get rid of those with like a yellow and whatever green you use mix in just a small touch of yellow. Maybe even if you have spring green, mix that. This is acrylic, so mix it in. And then when you mix one in, make sure you touch it around everywhere, right? Well, not necessarily everywhere. If it's warm, touch it up front. If it's cool, if you mixed a cooler green like this would be a cooler green. This is a warmer green. So I'm going to add a little variety on these stems here a little bit. A little green, a little warm, a little cool, like that. So I have this flower, and I have this flower. And then, you know what? I'm going to create one more. Just kind of hint at where I would want that. Maybe right here, like that. So this is you see how these whites and the lily pads are going to be competing with these whites? So the whites of your blooms have got to be the whitest part of your painting and not these lily pads. So I really want you to push those back. There. I hope that helps. Make that attempt and see what it looks like for you. Try and keep your groupings consistent in this rhythm that you've done such a great job on. All my football updates are coming in. I'm sorry I didn't turn off my notifications. So anyway, I think that you got a good painting going. You can probably move this around a little bit if you want to find a kind of slightly better spot for it. There. That's a little too high. Kind of like that. Maybe reduce it a hair so it's not quite so dominant there. Yeah, awesome. So let me know if you have any questions, and I hope that helps. And I will talk to you soon.